If accusations are being spoken against you right now, stay with me. What people are saying about you does not have final authority. I know what you have been carrying. Someone has been speaking against your character. Someone has been questioning your motives. Someone has been twisting your words, reframing your actions, making you look like something you are not. And the hardest part is not just that it is happening, it is that you cannot control the narrative. You cannot force people to see the truth. You cannot make them stop talking. And every time you try to defend yourself, it seems to make things worse. You are tired of explaining yourself. You are exhausted from trying to prove who you really are. But what if I told you that your defense does not have to come from you? What if I told you that when God defends you, accusations lose their power, lies collapse under their own weight, and truth emerges without you having to force it? That is what we are activating today through Psalm 35, divine defense that operates when human defense fails. Let me be direct with you about something most people misunderstand. Defense is not about being louder than your accusers. Defense is not about having more evidence or better arguments. Divine defense is about positioning. When you position yourself under God's authority, He takes responsibility for your reputation. When you stop trying to manage what people think and start trusting God to reveal what is true, something shifts. Accusations that seemed devastating start losing their grip. Lies that seemed permanent start unraveling. People who were convinced you were guilty start seeing inconsistencies in the accusations. This is not you manipulating circumstances. This is God defending you in ways you could never orchestrate yourself. If you are walking through something specific right now, a false accusation at work, lies being told in your family, your name being damaged in your community, drop it in the comments. I read them. You are not alone in this, and there is power in bringing it into the light. Psalm 35 verse 1 says, "Plead my cause, O Lord, with those who strive with me. Fight against those who fight against me." Notice the language here. You are not pleading your own cause. You are asking God to plead it. You are not fighting those who fight against you. You are asking God to fight them. This is the strategic repositioning that changes everything. When you take yourself out of the fight and position God as your defender, the entire dynamic shifts. People are no longer dealing with you. They are dealing with Him. And that is a fight they cannot win. Take hold of shield and buckler and stand up for my help. Draw also the spear and stop those who pursue me. Say to my soul, I am your salvation. This is not passive waiting. This is active trust. You are asking God to take up weapons on your behalf. Shield and buckler are defensive weapons. They protect you from attacks. The spear is offensive. It stops those who are pursuing you. God is not just shielding you from accusations. He is stopping the people making them. And He is speaking to your soul, assuring you that He is your salvation. You do not have to save yourself. You do not have to clear your own name. He is handling it. Let those be put to shame and brought to dishonor who seek after my life. Let those be turned back and brought to confusion who plot my hurt. When people plot against you, when they scheme to damage you, when they strategize how to take you down, God brings confusion into their plans. Their schemes do not work the way they expected. Their plots backfire. Their strategies fall apart, not because you outsmarted them, but because God is defending you. Let them be like chaff before the wind, and let the angel of the Lord chase them. Let their way be dark and slippery, and let the angel of the Lord pursue them. Chaff is worthless. It has no weight. It blows away easily. That is what happens to accusations when God defends you. They lose their weight, their substance, their power. And angels are not just protecting you, they are actively pursuing those who are attacking you. This is comprehensive defense. God is not just blocking their attacks, He is dismantling their ability to continue attacking. For without cause, they have hidden their net for me in a pit, which they have dug without cause for my life. Let destruction come upon him unexpectedly, and let his net that he has hidden catch himself. Into that very destruction, let him fall. The traps people set for you end up catching them. The pits they dig for you end up swallowing them. This is not you seeking revenge. This is divine justice, operating according to spiritual laws. When people attack the innocent, their attacks reverse. When they set traps without cause, those traps backfire. You do not have to make this happen. You just have to stay positioned under God's defense and watch it unfold. And my soul shall be joyful in the Lord. It shall rejoice in his salvation. My bones shall say, Lord, who is like you, delivering the poor from him who is too strong for him. Yes, the poor and the needy from him who plunders him. Notice what happens when God defends you. You experience joy, not bitterness, not resentment, joy, because you are not carrying the burden of defending yourself anymore. God is handling it, and that produces peace and joy even in the middle of accusations. Let me teach you something about how defense actually works in the spiritual realm. Most people think defense means fighting back harder, speaking louder, gathering more evidence, proving themselves more convincingly. But that is human defense, and human defense is exhausting and often ineffective. Divine defense operates differently. Divine defense begins in your mind, not in your circumstances. When you shift from "I have to prove myself" to "God is defending me," your entire internal state changes. Anxiety decreases, desperation fades, peace increases, and that internal shift affects how you respond externally. You stop over-explaining. You stop defending yourself in every conversation. You stop trying to control what people think, and that shift in your behavior actually makes you more credible, not less. Here is what I have seen over and over again. People who frantically defend themselves often appear guilty, even when they are innocent. People who rest in God's defense appear confident and peaceful, even under accusation. And that confidence, that peace, that refusal to panic, it makes people start questioning the accusations. If this person were really guilty, why are they not more defensive? If these accusations were true, why is this person so calm? Your peace under pressure becomes part of your defense. Your stability under attack becomes evidence of your innocence. This is divine defense operating through your demeanor, not just through your words. False witnesses rise. They ask me things that I do not know. They reward me evil for good, to the sorrow of my soul. This is one of the most painful aspects of false accusation. When people who should know you better choose to believe lies about you. When people you helped turn against you. When good you did gets reframed as evil you intended. It creates deep soul pain. But notice, the psalm does not tell you to harden your heart or stop feeling the pain. It tells you to bring that pain to God and let him handle the people causing it. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled myself with fasting, and my prayer would return to my own heart. I paced about as though he were my friend or brother. I bowed down heavily, as one who mourns for his mother. This is saying, I treated these people with compassion. I prayed for them. I cared for them. And yet they are attacking me now. When you have done right and still get accused, that is when divine defense is most powerful. God defends those who have clean hands, not perfect lives, but clean hands in the situation being questioned. But in my adversity, they rejoiced and gathered together. Attackers gathered against me, and I did not know it. They tore at me and did not cease. When accusers gather, when multiple people start agreeing on a false narrative, when it feels like everyone is against you, that is when you need divine defense most. You cannot fight a crowd. You cannot correct a consensus, but God can. He can expose what the crowd missed. He can reveal what the consensus got wrong. Lord, how long will you look on? Rescue me from their destructions, my precious life from the lions. I will give you thanks in the great assembly. I will praise you among many people. This is the cry of someone who is waiting for God's defense to manifest. How long, Lord? When will you intervene? When will you clear my name? And the answer is not always immediate, but it is certain. God will rescue you. The timing is His, but the outcome is guaranteed. And when He does it, you will praise Him publicly. Your vindication will become your testimony. Let them not rejoice over me who are wrongfully my enemies, nor let them wink with the eye who hate me without a cause. For they do not speak peace, but they devise deceitful matters against the quiet ones in the land. When you are quiet, when you are not causing problems, when you are just living your life peacefully, and accusations still come that reveals the nature of the accusers, they are not responding to what you did. They are projecting their own issues onto you, and God sees that. He defends the quiet ones, the peaceful ones, the ones who are being targeted without cause. They also opened their mouth wide against me and said, "Aha, aha, our eyes have seen it. This you have seen, O Lord, do not keep silence. O Lord, do not be far from me. Stir up yourself and awake to my vindication, to my cause, my God and my Lord. Vindicate me, O Lord my God, according to your righteousness, and let them not rejoice over me." Notice the shift here. You move from defending yourself to asking God to vindicate you. Vindication is not just defense, it is public clearing of your name. It is truth being established so clearly that accusers cannot deny it. Let them be ashamed and brought to mutual confusion who rejoice at my hurt. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor who exalt themselves against me. Let them shout for joy and be glad who favor my righteous cause. And let them say continually, "Let the Lord be magnified, who has pleasure in the prosperity of his servant." When God vindicates you, when he defends you successfully, it produces two results. Those who accused you are ashamed because they were wrong, and those who supported you rejoice because truth won. Your vindication becomes a testimony of God's faithfulness. Father, I come to you now on behalf of every person under false accusation. I ask that you plead their cause. I ask that you fight those who are fighting against them. I ask that you take up shield and buckler and spear on their behalf. Defend them in ways they cannot defend themselves. Clear their name in ways they cannot orchestrate. Vindicate them publicly so that truth is established and lies are exposed. Let confusion come to those plotting against them. Let traps set for them catch the trap setters instead. Let every false word spoken against them lose its power. Let every lie told about them collapse under the weight of truth. I speak directly to the person who has been accused at work. Someone has questioned your integrity, your competence, or your motives. You have been trying to prove yourself, trying to show you are trustworthy, trying to demonstrate you are capable. But the harder you try, the more suspicious you seem. Stop trying. Position yourself under divine defense. Let God show your supervisors, your colleagues, your clients who you really are. Truth will emerge. Your work will speak. Your character will be revealed. You do not have to force it. Just stay consistent, stay excellent, stay peaceful, and watch God defend you. I speak to the person being lied about in their family. A family member has spread false information about you. Others have believed it. Family gatherings are tense. Relationships are strained. You feel like you have to constantly correct the record. But family defense is tricky because defending yourself can look like attacking family. So instead, position yourself under divine defense. Keep showing up with integrity. Keep being who you actually are. Keep refusing to become what they have accused you of being. Time and consistency will reveal truth. God will defend you within your family in ways that restore relationship, not just prove you right. I speak to the person whose reputation has been damaged in their community. Something was said about you, true, false, or twisted, and now people look at you differently. You walk into rooms and sense judgment. You interact with people who have heard things about you that are not accurate. This is painful and isolating, but God is your defender even in community spaces. Keep living with integrity. Keep being kind. Keep serving where you can. Keep showing up. Your life will preach a sermon that contradicts the accusations. People will start seeing inconsistencies between what they heard and what they observe. Divine defense works over time as your character becomes undeniable. Some of you need prayer for a situation I have not mentioned yet. Maybe it is a legal accusation. Maybe it is a professional attack. Maybe it is something online where people who do not even know you are making judgments about you. Whatever it is, leave it in the comments below. Let me pray specifically for what you are walking through. I also want to address the person who is partially guilty of what they are accused of, but the accusation has been exaggerated. You did something wrong, but not as wrong as people are saying. You made a mistake, but it is being blown out of proportion. Here is what you do. Own what is true, and let God defend you from what is false. Admit your actual fault. Apologize sincerely. Make it right where you can. But do not accept blame for exaggerations or lies added to the truth. God will defend you from the false parts while you take responsibility for the real parts. That combination of humility and truth is powerful. I speak to the person who is being accused by someone with more power than them. Your accuser has influence, has connections, has credibility that you do not have. It feels like an unfair fight because it is an unfair fight in human terms, but in spiritual terms, the fight is even. God does not favor the powerful accuser over the powerless accused. He defends based on truth, not based on influence. David was accused by King Saul, far more powerful than David, but God defended David and dealt with Saul. Your accuser's power does not intimidate God. I speak to the person whose accusation is racial, gender-based, or rooted in prejudice. Someone is attacking you not because of what you did, but because of who you are. This is deeply painful because you cannot change who you are, and you should not have to. God sees this. He defends those who are targeted because of their identity. He opposes prejudice. He stands with the marginalized. He sees what is happening, and he will defend you. Your identity is not a liability. It is part of how God made you, and he will vindicate you as exactly who he created you to be. I decree that no accusation formed against you will stand. Not legal accusations, not professional accusations, not personal accusations, not family accusations, not community accusations. They may be formed, they may be spoken, they may even be believed temporarily, but they will not stand. Truth will emerge. God will defend. Your name will be cleared. Your reputation will be restored. What was said against you will be proven false. What was believed about you will be corrected. Divine defense is operating on your behalf right now. I decree that confusion is coming to those plotting against you. Their plans are falling apart. Their strategies are not working. Their schemes are backfiring. Not because you are manipulating circumstances, but because God is defending you. What they meant for harm, God is turning for your good. What they designed to take you down is positioning you to go higher. I decree that you walk in peace today, even under accusation. You do not have to panic. You do not have to defend yourself frantically. You do not have to lose sleep over what people are saying. God is handling it. Rest in that. Trust that. Move forward in that. Peace under accusation is part of your defense. Stability under attack is evidence of your innocence. Let your calm demeanor testify to the truth. I speak peace over your mind. The anxiety about what people think, release it now. The worry about how this will end, release it now. The fear that your reputation is permanently damaged, release it now. God is defending you. Your mind can rest. I speak peace over your interactions. When you see people who have heard accusations about you, you do not have to over-explain. You do not have to defend yourself in every conversation. Be yourself. Be consistent. Be kind. Let your character speak. I speak peace over your future. This accusation is not going to define your life. This false narrative is not going to follow you forever. God is clearing your name. And when he does, doors will open. Relationships will be restored. Opportunities will come that seemed closed during the accusation season. I also want to address the person who has been falsely accused so many times that they are starting to believe maybe there is something wrong with them. Maybe you are the problem. Maybe everyone else is seeing something you cannot see. Let me speak directly to that. If the accusations are false, repetition does not make them true. Some people are targeted repeatedly, not because they deserve it, but because they are threats to forces that oppose them. If you are walking in integrity and accusations keep coming, you are likely positioned in a place that matters. The enemy does not waste energy on people who are not a threat. I speak to the person who is tired of being misunderstood. You have explained yourself so many times, and people still do not get it. You have clarified your intentions, and people still question them. You have shown who you really are, and people still believe lies about you. You are exhausted from trying to be seen accurately. Stop trying so hard. Rest in divine defense. The right people will see you clearly. The right people will believe you. The right people will stand with you. And those are the people who matter. I also want to address those who are being accused in ministry or spiritual leadership. When you serve God publicly, accusations come with a different weight. People expect more from you. They hold you to higher standards. And when accusations come against someone in leadership, they spread faster and stick longer. This is why divine defense is critical for those in ministry. You cannot defend yourself without appearing defensive or prideful. You cannot fight back without damaging the very ministry you are trying to protect. So you must position yourself under God's defense and trust Him to clear your name in ways that honor Him and preserve the work He has called you to do. God defends His servants when they are falsely accused while serving Him faithfully. I speak to the person who has lost opportunities because of false accusations. The job you did not get because someone said something untrue about you. The promotion you were passed over for because of rumors. The relationship that ended because someone believed lies. The opportunities lost feel like permanent damage. But divine defense includes restoration. God does not just clear your name, He restores what was stolen. He opens doors that are better than the ones that closed. He brings relationships that are healthier than the ones that ended. He creates opportunities that surpass what you lost. Trust that restoration is part of your defense. I speak to the person whose accuser is someone they once trusted. A former friend, a past partner, a previous colleague, someone who knows you well enough to make the lies sound believable. This is one of the most painful forms of accusation because it feels like betrayal layered on top of slander. But here is what you need to know. People who truly know you and still lie about you are dealing with their own issues, not responding to who you actually are. Their accusations reveal more about their character than yours, and God sees that. He will defend you even against those who once had your trust. I speak to the person who is being accused anonymously. You do not even know who is saying these things about you. You cannot confront the accuser because they are hidden. You cannot defend yourself because you do not know what is being said or where it is coming from. This feels powerless, but God knows who your accuser is, even when you do not. He sees what is happening in the shadows. He hears what is being whispered in secret, and He will bring it to light. Anonymous accusations do not escape divine defense. I speak to the person whose accusation involves money. Someone is saying you stole, you mishandled funds, you were dishonest financially. Financial accusations damage trust in ways that are hard to repair. But if you have been financially honest and someone is lying about that, God will defend you. Bring your records. Be transparent where you can be. Let the numbers speak. And trust God to expose any lies that the numbers alone cannot disprove. Financial integrity defended by God is powerful testimony. I speak to the person whose accusation is sexual in nature. Someone has accused you of impropriety, harassment, or misconduct. These accusations are particularly devastating because they carry such shame and societal weight. If the accusation is false, position yourself under divine defense while also being wise about protecting yourself legally and relationally. God will defend your innocence, but you also need to take practical steps to protect yourself. Divine defense and human wisdom work together in these situations. I decree that witnesses to your character are being positioned right now. People who know the truth are being moved to speak up. People who have seen your integrity are being prompted to testify on your behalf. You do not have to beg people to defend you. God is stirring the hearts of those who know the truth, and they will speak when the time is right. I decree that evidence of your innocence is surfacing. Things that were hidden are being revealed. Documentation that proves the truth is being found. Witnesses who can verify your story are coming forward. The evidence you need to clear your name is being made available. God is not just defending you with words, He is defending you with proof. I decree that your accusers are facing the consequences of their lies, not because you are seeking revenge, but because lies always have consequences. Truth has a way of emerging, and when it does, those who spoke falsely will have to account for what they said. You do not have to make this happen. It is a natural result of divine justice operating on your behalf. If this prayer has touched something in you, let me know in the comments what you are believing God for. What accusation are you trusting Him to handle? What lie are you believing He will expose? What reputation are you asking Him to restore? Your declaration activates faith. I decree that angels are working on your behalf right now. They are arranging circumstances. They are influencing conversations. They are revealing truth to people who need to see it. They are exposing lies to people who believed them. Angelic activity is increasing around your situation because you positioned yourself under divine defense. I decree that your vindication is coming, not someday far in the future, soon. In God's timing, which is perfect timing, you will see your name cleared. You will see truth established. You will see accusers silenced. And when it happens, you will know it was God, not you, who made it happen. Stand firm. You are not powerless against accusation. You are positioned under divine defense. God is pleading your cause. God is fighting your fight. God is clearing your name. Trust Him. Rest in Him. Let Him work. Thank you for standing with me through this prayer. If you are believing for vindication, type "defended" in the comments. Stay aware. Authority must be exercised. In Jesus' name, Amen.